It's time to take a look at what happened last night and Monday night as WGS-TV reviews Monday Night Raw and Smackdown Live for this week. Hey YouTube, are you ready for your hot tag? Because if you are, it's definitely time to warp.
Times NWA World's Heavyweight Champion Scrap Barnett appears, and you're watching WGS-TV.
What's up guys, I'm the Russell Gamer. Welcome back to another episode of WGS-TV right here on youtube.com/RussellGamer. And for once, this week, on this week's review, being done live right here on Mixer. And in my chat room right now, I'd like to welcome Fresh Kid 667, Futura, and Titanic Axe, who are patiently listening to me ramble on about wrestling as I have this review recorded for you guys. Now, it's not very often I combine reviews into one video, but I had to this week due to the fact that I didn't get a chance to sit down and write out a review for Raw yesterday. So today, I'm combining both reviews into one. So first, let's talk about Raw. Monday Night Raw opened up with MizTV with Kurt Angle as the special guest. Now, about 80% of the segment was Miz putting down Angle as a general manager over what happened when Smackdown Live invaded Raw and what Stephanie McMahon had to say last week on when she came back. Angle didn't bring up the fact that Braun Strowman was a pretty good negotiator because his only demand for Angle for him to be on Team Raw for Survivor Series was a match against The Miz. Now, I think a lot of fans wanted to hear that it was for the Intercontinental Championship, but it wasn't. So it gets a 3 out of 5. Now, opening match was a guitar on a pole match with Elias taking on Jason Jordan. This was set up due to the past couple of weeks with Elias hitting Jordan with a guitar 2 weeks ago, and last week with Jordan breaking the guitar. The matchup itself wasn't bad at all, but can someone please tell me why WWE is having Michael Cole sell up Elias as much as he is? I just don't get it.
Because they can't handle the Macho Man Randy Savage, the cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
And that notification is from my Mixer, as Fresh Kid 1667 has joined the Awesome Alliance here on Mixer. Thank you very much for that follow. The finish of the match was Jordan hitting Elias with a guitar, so I wonder if this angle with Jordan and Elias is over, because it really wasn't going anywhere in my opinion. 2.5 out of 5. Titanic Axe in the chat room says 2 out of 5. Up next, it was the hottest woman in WWE, the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka, dominating another jobber named Stacy Choates with several kicks and finishing her off with the Asuka lock. The captain of the Raw women's team, Alicia Fox, will then name Asuka to the Raw women's team for Survivor Series. So I'm going to give that a 3.5 out of 5 for my own personal reasons. And that being that I like Asian chicks, I think Asian chicks are hot. Up next, it was originally supposed to be Titus O'Neil taking on Samoa Joe, but Joe attacked Titus before the match started, so it then became Finn Balor against Samoa Joe. These guys had a really good feud in NXT over the NXT Championship and showed really good in-ring chemistry back then and showed that they still had that Monday night. The match would eventually spill to the outside and end in a double countout, but the fight would continue till Kurt Angle would come out and name both of them to the Raw Men's Survivor Series team, and also later in the evening, Kurt Angle would also name Jason Jordan as the final member of Team Raw as well, and I agree with what Titanic Axe 9302 says in the chat as a 4 out of 5. Up next, it was Nia Jax and Alicia Fox taking on Bayley and Sasha Banks. The premise of the match was that Bayley and Banks were unhappy with the fact that Fox has yet to name them to the Raw women's team for Survivor Series, so they wanted to prove it to her by beating her and Nia in a match. Overall, I have to say, for what it was a decent match. The finish of the match was Banks locking on the bank statement on Fox to pick up the win, and after the match, Alicia would name Banks to her team, but not Bayley. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. And Fresh Kid says, Raw Meat Review. You know what? I might do that one time. I don't know how, but I might. Up next, it was Miz versus Braun Strowman, and for the most part, it was just Miz running around trying to avoid Braun Strowman, until the Demon King showed up, tried to choke slam Strowman, and would end up getting power slammed by Strowman. Kane would then sit up and get clotheslined over the top rope by Strowman and land on his feet, basically pulling what I'd like to call an Undertaker. Miz and Bo would try to jump Strowman, but it wouldn't work as Strowman quickly fought back. It would power slam Miz to end the segment. Yeah, it was a botch on my part. I do apologize. People in my chat room are bringing that up. 3 out of 5. And Titanic Access 2.9, and he's the one who brought up the botch. Enzo Amore was running his mouth again while Kalisto was at ringside until the current United Kingdom champion. I wonder how many people remember that WWE had that title, by the way. As Fresh Kid says, John Cena is the best. Pete Dunne came out for a match with the Cruiserweight champion. Dunne dominated about 85% of the match in his usual Cruiserweight style and would pick up the win over Amore with the bitter end. With WWE being in the UK this week, I kind of expected them to make use of their United Kingdom Championship and the division, to be honest. Because personally, to me, WWE is dropping the ball with their UK division because they are full of extremely talented performers from the UK that they could be utilizing right now on TV, but yet they have not. But this will be a topic for another video. As Satanic Axe will gives that match a 2.5 out of 5. I'm gonna go one better and say 3.5 out of 5 for that one. And finally, it was time for the main event of Monday Night Raw with the Raw Tag Team Championship on the line as the Shield were defended the Raw Tag Team titles against the Bar in the form of Cesaro and Sheamus. Whenever these two teams get together, they put on amazing matches, and the one on Monday night was no exception. It was an amazing match that worked really well. One thing I didn't expect, however, was the New Day in the form of Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and Big E. And I'm saying that for the people here in the chat who don't know who the New Day are, to make an appearance. And I wonder if that nothing shtick, they were saying nothing like they were Jamaican, nothing. I wonder if that's going to be a part of their gimmick now. Anyway, Angle had the entire Raw roster out there prepared for SmackDown Live, and in the confusion, Sheamus would hit a bro kick on Rollins to pick up the win and claim the Raw Tag Team titles for the Bar. And I agree with what Titanic Axe had to say, 4 out of 5. Now, my overall score on Monday Night Raw as a whole gets a 3 out of 5, with best match of the night definitely going to the main event, with worst match of the night going to the guitar on a pole match due to the fact that it was the least interesting match of the whole night. So how would SmackDown Live measure up to Raw this week? Let's talk about SmackDown Live. Shane McMahon would open up the show building up hype for Survivor Series and brought out the New Day to talk about their appearance on Raw Monday night. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn came out and did their typical heel shtick of being against Shane, which would lead him to make a match between Zayn and Kofi Kingston to open up the show. The match itself was a very decent one considering the talent involved in the match, but it would be Kofi getting the better of Zayn with a crossbody block pin to pick up the victory and would get cheap shot by Kevin Owens before the other members of the New Day would come out to make the eventual save. Fresh Kid, I'm not going to read that. 3.5 out of 5. Now, last week, as a Titanic Axe says, 2.5 out of 5. Now, last week it was originally scheduled to be AJ Styles taking on Rusev for a spot on the SmackDown Live Men's Survivor Series team, but since Styles was being inserted into the title match that was happening later in the evening, he would be substituted with Randy Orton, who was already on the team. Now, the matchup itself wasn't bad considering past matches with Orton and Rusev were pretty decent, well, the ones that went longer than 10 seconds. The finish of the match was Orton hitting the RKO on Rusev to pick up the win and denying Rusev a spot on Team SmackDown Live. I'm going to give that match a 3 out of 5. Now, here comes what I consider to be the biggest joke of the two nights. It was James Ellsworth, or as I call him, James Ellsworthless, taking on Becky Lynch. And the only thing that came to my mind during this match was it was one big, horrible, told joke. That's what Ellsworthless is at this point. He went from being a joke to one big, horrible joke. If Ellsworth would have went over on Lynch, her stock in her character would have severely plummeted. Especially since they're building her as the team captain of the SmackDown Live women's team. So they had to put her over last night. The finish of the match was Lynch locking on the disarmer on Ellsworthless to pick up the win, and after the match, Carmella would super kick Ellsworthless. So does that mean that their gimmick is over, or is this a part of the new gimmick? 2 out of 5. Titanic says 1.9 out of 5. And coincidentally, on one of my streams, because you guys are going to be seeing this on a video, Titanic asked the question, is Carmella a face now? I would not classify her as a face simply because she super kicked Ellsworthless where his chin is supposed to be, and he doesn't have one. Trust me, Fresh Kid, if you Google James Ellsworth, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I would not really classify her as a face just yet, because I think pretty much everyone hates it, but I think they probably would still hate Carmella regardless, so I really don't think they would change her character just yet. You know, I think it's probably part of the shtick where she gets to abuse Ellsworthless as much as she wants to, in a sense. I really don't know what else to say about that. I hope I answered your question as best as I could. Up next, the SmackDown Tag Team Championship was on the line as the Usos defended the titles against Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable. Now, with the tag title change on Raw the previous night, I was half expecting to see the SmackDown tag titles change, but that didn't happen. What would happen was while Jey Uso was on the outside, Chad Gable would chop block Uso and would get a 15-yard penalty in the NFL, cause him to roll over in pain and get counted out, giving Benjamin and Gable the win. But Titanic, I'm not going to read that either. Giving Benjamin and Gable the win, but not the titles. So as of this moment, for Raw versus SmackDown at Survivor Series, it's heel team versus heel team. I wonder how that would be worked out, but more than likely on next week's Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, there'll be rematches for both the Raw Tag Team Championship and the matchup we're about to talk about right now. 2.5 out of 5. Titanic says 3 out of 5. And Fresh Kid says Smack is until he falls asleep. I'm not going to say what. But anyway. Finally, it was time for the main event, the WWE Championship on the line, as Jinder Steroids McGee Mahal would defend the said championship against the phenomenal AJ Styles. Overall, the match was great. Typical interference from the Singh brothers as expected in Mahal's matches, but one big blunder that has to be mentioned here was WWE actually spoiling the ending to the match by actually posting the results to it on their website before SmackDown Live went on the air last night. And I do believe they did the same thing in regards to the Raw Tag Team titles changing hands. Now, whoever told them that posting that bit of news would help their cause was sadly mistaken. If there's one thing I despise in the wrestling industry, it's spoilers. I don't want to know ahead of time what's going on. That's why I watch the shows. It's like spoiling the plot of a movie. When you already know what's going to happen, then what would be the point of watching it in the first place? There is none. So WWE made a great big goof up, in my opinion, when it came to that. As for the actual match, it was probably one of Mahal's better outings considering the caliber of talent he was working with in AJ Styles. The finish of the match was Styles hitting the phenomenal forearm on Mahal to pick up the win and become the new WWE Champion. So now I pose this question to everyone here live, and I pose this question to everyone in the comments. Which match would be more enjoyable to watch? Brock Lesnar versus Jinder Mahal, or Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles? Did we trade up by putting the title on Styles? And like I said earlier, will the rematches on Raw and SmackDown take place next week? I think the only thing I can say is time will tell. Titanic X 9302 gives the match a 4.9 out of 5. I'm going to go 4 out of 5. So, anyway, overall score on SmackDown Live, as Fresh Kid says, Little Kodak, they to see me win. I don't understand what that means. Overall score on SmackDown Live this week gets a 3.5 out of 5, with best match of the night going to the main event, with worst match of the night going to Ellsworthless and Becky Lynch for what a joke that was. Anyway, guys, that's been what my thoughts on Raw and SmackDown this week. What I want to know from you guys, yes, you guys, the viewers and subscribers here on YouTube, your thoughts on Raw and SmackDown this week. What are your overall scores? What are your picks for best and worst match or segments of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live? I definitely want to hear what you guys out there have to say. Be sure you put your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget, if you guys like this video, to slam that like button like a champ. And if you guys want to see more of wrestling talk with awesome gameplays right here on YouTube, you know the two ways you got to do it. You got to link up the subscribe button and hit that bell icon to turn on notifications, so that way you guys will never miss out another video here on my channel. So with my special thanks to everyone here in the live Mixer chat, from when I'm recording this, I am your friendly neighborhood wrestling gamer, reminding all of you guys out there to stay awesome. Bye, guys!